About to strip this head apart. We're going to clean all that carbon off there. One thing that I always do when I'm taking a head apart is the orientation of how you lay everything out. I always look at the cylinder head from the left side. So this is the left side of the bike. So this would be the front of the bike always. That way I never get confused on which valve or which piece goes to what hole. So I'll pull the buckets out and I'll lay them out accordingly. So there, now you see I have my buckets and shims. It's always facing forward to my left and I'm always looking at it to the left. So when I have these laid out on my workbench, they will be oriented like this. So I will never be confused on which bucket goes where. That's how I like to do it. Okay, time to take the valves out. Did it this way before, and some people said I was going to bend a valve. Never bent a valve. One, oop, got them both. 2 for 1. Cutters are out. Okay, there's both the exhaust valves, seals out of there. One, seats out of there. There's that one. And that one. Time for the intakes. There's the other one. Just like that. There we go. And that's how I disassemble a head. I gotta clean these valves up. Carboned up pretty bad. So let's clean them up. Now I'm sure somebody online is gonna have something to say about this. Just chuck it up in the drill. This is a semi-worn out Scotch-Brite maroon. Just spin it with the drill. Rub on it until it's gone. How about that? So there we go, before and after. Here's a before and an intake valve. Here's after. Boom. Okay, I got the cylinder head all cleaned up. The valves are all cleaned up. We got brand new valve stem seals, brand new valve springs. So like I said, I always lay the valves out in the same orientation. So this would be if I'm standing on the left side of the bike and that way is forward. I always do my heads exactly the same so I'm never confused. So you take the cylinder head, this would be the left side, that way is forward. So we know this valve goes in that hole. That valve goes in that hole. So before I go ahead and put the new seals in and springs and get these valves put in, I always like to check the valve face and the valve seat just to make sure that everything is sealing right and it's where it should be. Okay, so the way that I check to see that valves are sealing is you take a Sharpie and run it across the 45-degree angle on your seat. You take the same corresponding valve and you put the marker on the valve face of the 45-degree angle, which is the sealing angle. Okay, we got all the seats marked and all the valves marked. Next thing to do, never stick it in dry. We'll stick the valve in there, get your trusty valve grinder. There, almost there. Once it stops squeaking, all the markers gone, and you can see where that valve face is sealing. We come down here and look at our seat, and it's sealing good all the way around. Pass. Next. Okay, now that we know the valves are sealing all good, next we gotta assemble the head, put the valves in. So the first step is to get the spring seat over the guide. Usually you can just do that like that. And you take a brand new valve stem seal. And whenever I'm building a 4-stroke, I always replace the valve stem seals because this is a point where if they leak here, it burns oil. So spring seat goes first. I only do spring seat first because some of the spring seats will not fit over the valve stem seal. So if you put the valve stem seal on there first and then can't get the seat over it, you have to destroy the valve stem seal to get the seat on. Ask me how I know. To put the seal in, take my trusty little Allen wrench, and this greases the lip anyways a little bit, which is good for when you slide the valve in, but holds it on there, and then just kind of push it on with your finger. She's on. Valve springs have a progressive rate. So if you look, the coils get closer together on one end to the other. And always the closer coils go towards the combustion chamber. Most manufacturers nowadays will put paint on the top. Some won't. But that's how the valve spring goes. So now we got our brand new spring ready to go. So this is moly paste. I just put a little of that on there. And I mix it with some oil. This was recommended in one of the manufacturer's service manuals, and I've been doing it like this ever since I saw that. Slide it in always. I go up and down a few times before I shove it through the valve spring just to make sure that the guide is lubricated. And then always make sure that the valve is spinning when you go through the seal. She's home. So then you pop your spring in. Then you have the retainer. Now we get to do the fun part. Compress the spring. Take your valve cotter. Stick it in there. Get the next one ready. See, it's not all the way down, so tighten it up just a little bit more. Come in with a different tool and just push it down. Sometimes you got to move the retainer around like that. I pulled it right out of there. It's going to be a little frustrating. Okay, they're both in there. Pop it up. And then to seat the valve counters where they're riding, where they're going to be riding, kind of just bounce it a little bit and puts them right where they're supposed to be. Now you just got to do that 3 more times. Boom! There it is. Cylinder head is completely assembled.